3 more North Texas police departments have decided now to stop using conducted electrical weapons, a less than lethal weapon dominated by the taser. Kennedale, Benbrook, and Lake Worth police joined 4 other departments we told you about last week that are tabling the taser. Fox 4's Dion Anglin has tonight's follow-up.
The cartridge goes in like this. It plugs in, and then, of course, once you plug it in, it's live.
Kennedale Police Chief Tommy Williams shows us one of the high-voltage devices he has now collected from all of his officers after weighing the advice of the city's attorneys. The strong suggestion? Either begin to regard the taser as a lethal force weapon or get rid of them. The chief says, given that, it was a simple decision.
Because of the stress of those situations, you need to have an option for deadly force, not 2 or 3. Because I don't want to jeopardize my employees trying to figure out what force level to go to and then what force option to use.
Chief Williams' department joins a growing list of Tarrant County law enforcement agencies that have decided to table tasers after the subject came up for discussion as a serious liability issue at a Tarrant County Law Enforcement Executives Association meeting last Thursday. Kennedale, Benbrook, and Lake Worth police confirmed today each has suspended the use of tasers. 4 other departments, Mansfield, Crowley, Burleson, and Richland Hills, have as well.
When you turn it on, it gives you your light, and it also puts the little laser dot on it.
Chief Williams says his officers have not complained loudly about losing their tasers. He also points out he commended 2 officers for making a decision not to use their tasers recently when they encountered a man who was under the heavy influence of drugs.
Based on what they said, I just felt like that was something that needed to be commended because, again, we encourage and we train our people. This is a tool, but it's not necessarily the tool. It is a tool. Sometimes you do have to go hands-on and wrestle people to the ground.
Dion Anglin, Fox 4 News.
Now, Dion also talked with other departments that are considering a move to table their tasers. They have not made any changes, but are watching the issue closely.
All right, Heather, thanks. Dr. Stephen Bishop is with the Caruth Police Institute. It's at University of Texas at Dallas. And if you see the jeans and stuff, kind of looks like a cop. That's because 22 years, Dallas police officer,
yes, sir.
Right? Thanks for being with us. Offer some perspective. The chief there, Chief Williams, at the very end, I'm going to read his quote. Sometimes you just have to go hands-on and wrestle someone to the ground, kind of saying sometimes you got to get dirty. And so we're not using taser anymore, and so now we're going to have to get a little dirty. What do you think of that? That's what it sounded like to me. I don't know if it sounded like to you, but what do you think of that?
I think that's unfortunate. You have to go hands-on sometimes, that's true, and then sometimes you have to go to the hospital with broken arms and twisted wrists and cracked jaws, and you lose time at work, and this workman's comp picks up that. I think that's a poor thing to say, a bad thing to say, because getting rid of the tasers is something that would have allowed you to prevent that kind of injury and having to put hands on.
Yeah, and you think that limits the options now. I know you said, that your options now are, I believe, leave,
right,
fight, or shoot, deadly force.
Well, that's exactly what you have left.
If you take the taser out.
Absolutely. Those are your 3 options. If you remove a use of force that would, what we consider less lethal, sometimes there's a misnomer calling it non-lethal. Not that directly non-lethal, but it is less lethal. It's a reason or something you can do not having to use the gun. But if you take that away, then you have left those only 3 options. You go hands-on and use nightsticks, batons, and flashlights or hands, or you shoot them, or you say because they're resisting and I don't want to put hands on, I don't have a taser,
I'm out.
I walk away. And nobody pays their police department to walk away from crime.
That's probably not going to happen. Let me ask you, I think some of the publicity or negative publicity about tasers is we see, well, I don't know. Let me ask you this. You ever get mad at somebody and tase them because you want them to shut up?
No. And
that does happen. I mean, I can see myself, if I'm in law enforcement for a long time and I want this guy to do something and he's not doing it, we've seen that. Roadside, pick up your ticket, boom, and they're tased. That's the negative perception, right? I mean, it's out there.
It is, and those are the ones that get portrayed quite a bit because that's something that somebody can look at and say, wow, that's wrong. That cop, that's obviously wrong. I can't believe they would do that. See, that's just proof they always do. But that's not the case. I mean, you have policies in place, and no matter what department you're on in this area, particularly the department you're talking about, they all had policies in place. It wasn't just here's a taser, use it when you want
Right.
to. So that wouldn't have been an issue.
I think some of the concern is a lot of times, and maybe, I don't know, you tell me if this is a training situation or just not knowing when to use it, but it's when, there's a case in Utah, for example, a guy who had some slight mental issues, hadn't taken his meds, ended up on the side of the road. His family's already, he's naked, hands up basically, and they tased him twice and he had a reaction and he died. So the mental health aspect sometimes, and is, I don't know, it's tough. You go in there, you don't really know what's going on. Somebody's called police and you want to take care of the situation, but how do you assess what to do in that kind of situation that sometimes ends up with somebody dying?
Those are the kinds of momentary decisions that you're taking away when you take away officers' tools. They have tools in their toolkit they can use. And going into an incident like that, if the guy's given up and he's completely done and naked and had been acting crazy, so to speak, okay,
means,
you could be talking about drugs on board, a mental illness. You don't know those facts until after everything's done. So the officers have to assess what they know when they see it. And when they walk up there and see somebody that's act like that, I can't think of a reason why somebody who's not resisting or not giving any kind of trying to hurt the officers in a way, why they would tase them. If they did that, and that's an accurate account,
they did, and it's recent. They settled, and so that they settled. They paid.
Okay.
Let's talk about that. The court issue. Does it bother you that this seems to be driven instead of by policing decisions, but based on attorney decisions?
Oh, absolutely. And
liability is what we're talking about.
What bothers me about it is the research is fairly clear that tasers bring down officer and suspect injuries, but oftentimes the reports that indicate that you may cause a heart attack or you may cause some sort of death because there was an excited delirium issue, that attorneys grab a hold of that and say, well, there's a potential liability. That's huge. But I think there's some disregard for the fact that officers being injured and suspects being injured and suing the city or being out on workman's comp and costing taxpayers money because they're injured may cost the city even more than had they used a taser up front. The risk of death
officers get sued, though, too, right? So this could be a plus there, because they're named in the lawsuit. They get sued, too.
They are, and I have been as well. It's if you're within your department's policy, and I can only speak for the department that I work for, but if you're within policy, then you are covered by the city.
Indemnified.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're not at risk. If you step way outside the policy and walk up and pop a grandmother in the side of the head because she didn't look at you right away with a taser, then you're probably going to have problems.
Now you're talking like a cop. Lastly, is there something better out there? Is there something better? Is it coming to solve this problem? It's got to, right?
Right. Well, you know, and I don't know. I can't speak to what future technologies would bring, but I know, in fact, tasers are coming out with technology that has cameras on tasers. That may be an issue that would allow departments to go ahead and use it, because that shows this is what the officer faced then and there.
Settles the court and liability thing that we're talking about. All right?
Yes, sir.
Steve, thanks for coming in. Appreciate
Thank you.
the input.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
All right.